Twitch dropped at 28%. Actually, when I was messaging Josiah about this earlier in the day, it was at around like 50-ish. And as late as, as early as yesterday at 5 p.m., it was up to like 70%, which I think was like a pretty strong reaction in terms of recency bias of what happened. Okay, so now to go into like what exactly happened. So over the past weekend, there was an event called TwitchCon. This happens every year. It's a convention for the streamers on Twitch and also fans of streamers to like attend and kind of like meet their streamers or whatever. Don, you mentioned before about live streaming being like a fun kind of low stakes way of engaging with stuff. I actually used to stream video games like years ago and would go to TwitchCon, and it was pretty fun. But I will say that there wasn't a lot of security and stuff there. So what happened was one of the streamers was doing a meet and greet. Her streamer name is Emiru, I believe. And someone kind of just crossed all of the paths and barriers, went up to her and just tried to like give her a bear hug, essentially assaulted her. And so that became a bunch of news like all over Reddit, all over like different articles and such. And their CEO, Dan Clancy, live streams himself and also like chats with a lot of these high profile streamers, including Emiru. And a lot of people, believe that this was going to result in his like firing and or resignation because of the lack of security over at TwitchCon. This is still ongoing, so there's still like news articles that are being put out. He's being interviewed on other podcasts. She's also posting content because she's a live streamer and continues to talk about this stuff. But yeah, with all this news coming out, it kind of like spiked up to like 68, 69%. And it looks like it's kind of been correcting since then as like a potential recency bias. I when digging deeper into this, like the CEO seems to be pretty public about like discussing this and how like bad this was, how safety is like their top priority, as any person within a company would mention. And like I don't think that this would be, it's a very unfortunate circumstance and a very unfortunate situation, but given the nature of like parasocial relationships and stuff with live streaming, like this is something that I think they have been kind of like on the lookout for, and it's just like an unfortunate series of events that I don't think would be enough to kind of take this to resignation or firing of the CEO, who I'd imagine is taking this pretty seriously and like wanting to do stuff about this. But this reaction was from folks who use the platform and maybe might immediately say like, okay, this person has to get fired, right? Because this was a pretty egregious event. And has corrected since then. I'll stop there because I'm curious to hear others' thoughts or takes, or if you guys were familiar about the situation.
It's so high. 36% is so high.
It's pretty high.
It's high.
Yeah, within 2025. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe this went up to 70%. I believe if that's just community speculation that there's a controversy and the CEO of the company will step down. For a social media company, which like so many others has kind of Twitter, Reddit, Discord, all of them have very vocal user bases. I feel like there's another one of these controversies every other week, and I don't know that there's any precedent for the CEOs stepping down as a result of those things.